to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 89, and the title of today's episode is The Economic Collapse is Coming, and the Fed is Screwed. Basically, what I mean by that is they are running out of options, basically, to kick the can down the street or do anything else. So basically, they don't know what to do at this point, and they're testing the waters. But before we get into that, let's get into the economic collapse news, and let's see what's going on out in the world. And let's see what everyone is up to here. Now, basically what I was saying before, the Fed cannot exit successfully, and they know this. They know if they start to taper and they start to pull back, the economy will completely collapse, and they know this for a fact. And basically, this article says Bernanke claims the Fed can successfully exit its current strategy, but he's lying. He knows he can. And basically what he's doing now is he's testing the waters. He wants to see how the market is going to react. And from this point, this is when he'll, come up with, because what he's going to say is he's going to tell on Wednesday that he's going to taper off. They're thinking about doing it, but he'll always throw in the words, but it depends on the economy, and it depends on unemployment, it depends on how the economy looks, so we're going to hold off now. And he continually does this because he's testing the waters, because you have to remember, they are printing all this money, even though he says they're not, and they're buying up toxic real estate, and they're also buying treasury bonds and also giving a lot of this money to the banks so they can reinvest that money into the stock market. And by doing this, this money never reaches the people. So this way you don't see massive inflation. He's putting it all back into the equity market. A lot of the banks are buying their own stocks. So you see none of what people thought were going to happen with massive inflation from printing money, because they're just giving it to the banks, and banks are not loaning out this money at all. And I hate to say it, but most of the people in the market today are the institutional investors. Most of the everyday trader are out of the market, and if he knows that when he starts tapering this back, he's basically tapering what he did, and the market's going to start falling. And this is what he knows is going to happen, and this is why he's very, very conservative, and he's using this strategy to see what would happen when he mentions it. And this is why they keep changing unemployment and things like that in the calculations, because the economy is an illusion, and people think that everything is getting better, but it's really not. And the unemployment has ticked up, which is buying him some time right now. And they recently changed the equation, because I really do think in his head that he thinks that he'll be able to keep this going, but until it collapses. But it can't. There's no manufacturing. People have no jobs. There's no tax base to continue everything going. So the whole thing, no matter if he tapers or if he continually pumps in money, it's going to collapse either way, and he knows it. And this is his problem. Now, moving on here, Aetna is pulling out of California due to Obamacare, and in Obamacare, people who have policies now, it doesn't matter, because the insurance companies can always say that, oh, you know what, because of Obamacare, and you can go and pick a different health insurance from the exchange, we're discontinuing the coverage that you have now, and we want you to go to the exchange and buy a different policy, which will be more money. And right now, basically Obama's care stated goal was to broaden the health insurance market, give more options to consumers, and generally lower costs of health insurance. But courtesy of the IRS flawless execution of yet another unprecedented government expansion, it may be in for a tough time. And again, I said this before, when you're creating something and you're doing it for the people, the law that you pass should not penalize people if they do not follow it, especially when something is voluntary, like health insurance. Basically, people have the choice of purchasing it, but they're not making it a choice. They're making it, if you don't do this, you're taxed. And this is not a good system. This is not a system for the people. This is a system for the insurance companies to make more money and to raise revenues to hold off this collapse that is coming. Now, there was another article in here that says Cyprus bail-in now in the UK. And basically, it goes on to say co-op bank bail-in converts loans to shares. And this is what happened in Cyprus. They took some of their money, they froze it, and they said, we're going to, they took a percentage of their money, and they changed them into bank stock. And this article goes on to say that the cooperative group has reached agreement with the city regulator that the hole in the co-op bank is around 1.5 billion euros. And basically what they're trying to do is to do a bail-in just like they did with Cyprus. And this article goes on to say that, all the depositors in the co-op will be relieved that their bank is being rescued. The nature of the rescue will be highly controversial because it may well be seen as the co-op bank moving away from being pure mutual. And basically, the co-op is expected to remain the majority controlling shareholders in the co-op bank, but significantly minority will be held by commercial investors. And basically it goes on to say this. It's unclear at this time whether the debt for equity swap will apply only to holders of subordinate debt, which is the debt perceived as riskier. Basically, those unsecured debt, they don't know if this is all that the bail-in is going to consist of. And as we know from the past, the bail-in always consists of more because they always need more money, because basically you're just taking some of the money, you're covering this debt, and when that money runs out, they need more. And I said this explanation before. It's like a person who's making $50,000. They have no job. They have $20,000 left in their savings, and they use this $20,000 to pay for all of their debt, but they keep taking out more credit card to cover their expenses. Now they have to sell their car, and basically they are always looking for new sources of money to cover their debt because the debt payments don't go away. But the money after you use it does go away. So that's what we're seeing here. And it also goes on to say, though, that the bail-in represents a profound change in the business model of the co-op bank, as the typical owner of these PIBs are pensioners attracted by steady guaranteed income. It seems these days of hoping for a bailout is completely gone, and all financial type of entities are looking at the bail-ins today. Okay, moving on. Breaking in Aleppo, it looks like Syria, 80,000 troops are about to storm the city. And, the war is building up. It says, here we go, 80,000 Hezbollah trained troops to storm the northern Syria city of Aleppo. And it looks like the U.S. House passes bill to ensure Israel can remove existential threats. This is just confirming that we will definitely go to war with Israel when the Iran part of the war starts. And it goes on to say the National Defense Authorization Act instructs U.S. to take all necessary steps to help Israel defend its vital national interests, among them preventing a nuclear Iran. And this is what we've seen before during the Boston bombing, when they signed the bill that we will help Israel help Israel with the war when they get into the war with Iran. And this is just reinforcing that because, again, the central bankers, the Fed, the government, know the collapse is coming. There's only one way out of this, and that is a war. And I was having a discussion on YouTube with someone, um, and basically you have to remember these central bankers, they have no allegiance to a country. They are the issuers of money. They print money out of thin air, and what they ask for return is you repay this money with interest. And then they take this and they trade this worthless printed paper that has no backing whatsoever, and they trade it for real assets like gold and silver, oil, land, natural resources. So they don't care about the country itself. All they care about is one, covering up the collapse so it never comes out that they do this type of thing to countries with creating central banks. And the other thing is they make a lot of money during war. They don't care if nuclear weapons and you destroy um, cities or countries. It makes no difference because they'll supply both sides of the war, and the governments will go into debt to pay back for these wars. I mean, this is what they do. Their children do not go to the same schools we go to. They go to a private school, which is not in, if you're in the U.S., not in the U.S. Remember, they don't have an allegiance to a country. Their allegiance is to money printing, um, this money printing like religion that they go through. And this is basically all it is. Um, but let's move on here. Dick Cheney's suggestion, Snowden, a Chinese spy, is is sheer nonsense, says China. And basically, Cheney is coming out saying that he's a traitor because what he did. But the NSA, the government officials who lied about everything, who spied, who violated the Constitution, who violated the Fourth Amendment, um, they're not traitors to the Constitution. That's right. No, Snowden is a patriot, and basically you have to remember what Mark Twain said: "In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man, and brave, and hated, and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot." And you see that happening right now. And they're trying to hook in China to this whole entire thing, saying that China, he's working for the Chinese government, he's a spy, because we will be going to war with China because they need to cover this entire economic collapse, and they're using him right now to say that he did this and he worked for China, and they're trying to demonize China. And you have to remember, they want this an all-out war, and this will cover the collapse completely. Now, basically, Putin has come out to say that that any Allied planes that are that there should be no fly zone. I'm sorry, that is that Russia is vetoing the UN Security Council and will not permit no-fly zones to be imposed over Syria. And because, basically it goes on to say, I think we fundamentally will not allow this scenario. Lukovich told a news briefing, adding that calls for a no-fly zone showed disrespect for international law. And basically, how do you shut down someone's airspace? I mean, it's like someone coming over to the United States and saying, okay, this is a no-fly zone over the whole entire country, and the government can't fly their planes. I mean, it really makes no sense when you really think about it. Now, moving on. There was an article that said the administration acts like violating civil liberties is the way to enhance our security. The administration also puts forward a false choice between the liberties we cherish and the security we demand. I will provide our intelligence and law enforcement agencies with the tools they need to track and take out terrorists without undermining our Constitution and our freedom. A little too late on that because they've already done the illegal wiretapping. They've already taken our rights away with the Patriot Act, with the NDAA, with the exception rule to martial law. So when they tell you this, and they're saying that we're not looking to get rid of the Constitution or undermine the Constitution. Oh, and by the way, they're also trying to take the guns away from the people or limit the number of ammo they have in a clip or any of these above. They are undermining the Constitution. And basically, for years and years and years, the Constitution has worked. And basically, our founding fathers knew all about this. They bled for this, and they knew that government would always revert back to trying to get rid of the people's rights. And that's why they made the Constitution where it's we the people that empower the government, and we can take that power away at any time. But what governments do is they try to take the only thing that allows us to take the government back, and usually that is your gun. Now, Venezuela is signing a gun control bill, and you're starting to see this all around the world where they want to take the guns away from the people, because when this collapse comes, it's going to affect a lot of countries. And basically, their bill goes on to say that a bill allows prison sentences up to 20 years for any civilian convicted of illegally carrying or selling a firearm. And it also goes on to say any arm that is confiscated will be destroyed immediately. The sales of weapons and ammunition also ends, and said National Assembly President Diosdado Cabello. And basically, this is what every country will try to do. The United States is a very difficult country to do it because we have our Constitution with the Second Amendment, and to get rid of the Second Amendment, you need all the states to vote on it and to create another amendment which will get rid of the Second Amendment, and that is very difficult to do. Now, the WWIII, the new EU police force of limitless power. This sounds like they are setting up something just like the DHS that we have here in Spain. And this goes on, among the many projects of international cooperation which Italy is currently involved, seems it is appropriate to dwell on what WWIII, or the European Gendarmerie Force. This is an initiative that involves, in addition to our other 5 EU countries, France, Spain, Portugal, the Netherlands, Romania, but subsequently acceded to this project. The purpose of the EGF is to strengthen the management capacity of the future international crisis, and more importantly, contribute to the common defense and security police, and may in all respects be considered a tool integrated approach to conduct police missions in several theaters. So basically, they are creating a police force for the European nations, just like there is one here in the United States called DHS. And this is to control the people before, during, and after the collapse. Believe me, this thing is worldwide. This is not just for the United States. And everyone knows, and this is really, you're starting to see that the collapse is coming closer and closer, because more and more of these things are starting to happen, and we're seeing it. And for instance, it's a call to arms for banks. Basically, the banks are preparing for an online threat where the banks are going to be hit. Now, I've seen something that just came out, and it is called, let me just get this here for everybody. Alrighty. It's Wall Street prepping for Quantum Dawn 2. It's a cyber drill that they're having on June 28th. Homeland Security is handling this. And this is going to be a real-time drill. Now, again, I don't know if something is going to happen at this time, but it's very interesting that all of a sudden we're having this type of drill. And this article goes on to say, at 9 a.m. Eastern next Friday, participants will log on from their offices to a closed system developed by the Department of Homeland Security. No one knows exactly what kind of attack will hit, but once it does, they will have to coordinate with corporate and government partners to battle their virtual foes. Now, as we know, that each time there is a drill, something happens. A false flag event happens, and this I just realized, and it just came out today that we're having this. And basically, Shimek stressed that what makes cyber so unique is that you have a living, breathing adversary on the other side. You can't anticipate something as you might with a storm. And basically, this last major drill, Quantum Dawn 1, was conducted in November of 2011, and that combined a small cyber attack with attempted physical invasion of Wall Street exchanges. So they're on number 2 right now, and we're going to have to see how this plays out and how this cyber attack drill is played out. And this is coming on the 28th, which is the week before July 4th, which is another warning that we're hearing that another false flag might be coming. And basically, the call to arms for banks and this push comes as government officials grow increasingly concerned about the ability of a cyber attack to cause significant disruptions to the financial systems. So to me, this is all leading into one thing after another. And will this happen during the month of July, during Independence Day? Will this happen before? We don't know. I mean, this is very interesting to me because I didn't see this before, and I've been talking about cyber attacks for quite a while now, and you have to remember this is going to be their main event. Now, this attack might be just a test for the main event, and it might be something where they say, oh, we were doing a drill, or not even mention the drill because they normally don't, and they can say that the banks were hit, some of the money was siphoned off, this is one of the biggest cyber attacks that we've hit so far, this is a very dangerous thing, or they might be just doing it right now to get CISPA approved, because CISPA is still pending in the Senate. And if CISPA is approved, that will make PRISM legal. So there's a lot of things here in motion and in play, and we're going to have to watch this carefully. So I'm going to put this Quantum Dawn 2 drill on the X22 site on the right-hand side where it says potential false flags, because something very dangerous could be happening, because we know something's going to happen July 4th. And we heard this from the DHS Insider. We hear it from other places. And Kokesh is going to be marching, having gun owners march on all the capitals. So we're going to have to watch this very carefully. And today, I mean, if we look, the markets are up. Everyone's looking at the stock market. Everyone's feeling good. Gold is down a little bit today. So everyone is completely, their eyes are taken off of everything and put back onto the stock market. And this way no one knows what else is going on. Listen, everyone, I want to thank you very much for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.